All right, let's dive right in. Today we're looking at one of the biggest, most fundamental choices we're facing in our lifetime, how we're going to define our digital selves. The systems being built literally as we speak are going to set the stage for personal freedom for decades to come. And it turns out there are two very, very different paths we can take. You know, this whole debate over digital identity, it's not really about technology or making life more convenient. At its heart, it's a fundamental choice between two completely different philosophies. A future where some central authority manages your identity for you, or one where you, the individual, are in the driver's seat.
And the stakes? Well, they couldn't be higher. The analysis we're digging into today makes a really powerful case that the decisions we make in the next couple of years aren't just about how we log into a website. They're going to fundamentally redraw the lines between us and the state.
So, okay, here they are, the two competing visions side by side. On one hand, you've got the centralized vision, controlled by the government, probably going to be mandatory, and all built around one giant database. On the other hand, the sovereign vision. You're in control, it's voluntary, and it's all spread out on a distributed network. These are two profoundly different futures. So to really understand what's on the line, let's start by walking down that first path, the one being paved right now in places like the UK. To get a handle on what this centralized approach actually looks like in the real world, our source material points us straight to the United Kingdom. They have this ambitious and, as we're about to see, very controversial digital ID program. It's pretty much a perfect case study for this vision. And right out of the gate, things get a little weird. You see this contradiction baked into the very foundation of the UK's plan. The law itself, passed in June 2025, makes it crystal clear that these digital identity services will stay voluntary. But at the exact same time, you have government announcements promising they'll be mandatory for stuff like proving your right to work by 2029. So you have the law saying one thing and the people in charge promising the exact opposite.
And this, right here, is a textbook example of what privacy experts had been warning about for years: scope creep. The whole system was first justified for something specific, like employment checks. But look how it's already expanding. Government documents confirm it's going to be used for driving licenses, for welfare, for proving who you are to landlords, for age verification, even just to open a bank account. What starts as a convenience for one thing suddenly becomes a requirement for, well, everything.
So what kind of info are we actually talking about here? This isn't just your login name. The digital ID is designed to hold the absolute core of who you are. Your name, your date of birth, a biometric photo for facial recognition, your nationality, and your residency status. Essentially, a full-on digital blueprint of you.
Now, you'd think that something holding this much sensitive data would be locked down tighter than Fort Knox, right? Well, the source material highlights some deeply troubling reports. Whistleblowers have apparently flagged over 500,000 system vulnerabilities in the one login system, with thousands rated as critical or high severity. That's a pretty stark contrast to the official government mind about state-of-the-art protection.
And this quote from cybersecurity specialist Chris Littlewood just nails the core problem. When you build one giant, centralized database holding the keys to everyone's digital kingdom, you don't just centralize the data, you centralize the point of failure. It's like putting all your eggs in one giant, hackable basket. One breach, whether it's from criminals or a hostile country, could be absolutely catastrophic.
And believe me, it is not just the tech experts who are worried. The public opposition has been just extraordinary. A parliamentary petition against this whole scheme got over 2.5 million signatures. That's one of the biggest in modern UK history. It just goes to show how deeply uneasy a lot of people are about where this is all heading.
And here's where the source material points out the, let's say, interesting climate this idea is being rolled out in. It highlights a pretty startling contrast. In the UK, you have over 12,000 arrests every year for things people post on social media. At the same time, a staggering 90% of all other reported crimes went unsolved in 2023. The analysis argues that this existing focus on policing what people say gives you a pretty good clue as to how a mandatory digital ID could be used to supercharge the state's ability to monitor and control dissent. Okay, so that's the picture of the centralized path. But what if there's another way? A completely different approach to all of this, one that builds a very different kind of future. Let's talk about the path of sovereign freedom, built on decentralized technology. The magic behind this alternative is something called decentralized identifiers, or DIDs. And here's the crucial difference. Instead of a government or a company issuing an identity to you, you generate and control your own identity using cryptography. It belongs to you, mathematically. Think of it less like a driver's license someone gives you, and more like a unique digital key that you forge yourself, that only you can use. So how does this actually work in real life?
This is the really cool part. Let's say a website needs to prove you're over 18. Now, with the old system, you'd show them your ID, which has your birth date, your name, your address, everything. With this system, you don't do that. Instead, your digital wallet generates a simple cryptographic proof, basically a yes or a no, that confirms you meet the age requirement. The website gets the verification it needs, and you have revealed absolutely zero other personal information. That's called selective disclosure, and it's a game changer.
This whole approach is just built differently, from the ground up. It's founded on a completely different set of principles. Participation is voluntary. Privacy isn't just a policy promise someone makes, it's a mathematical guarantee baked right into the code. Control is spread out among all the users, not stuck in one place. You have ultimate sovereignty over your own data. And, so importantly, there are no centralized honeypots of data for hackers to drool over.
Okay, now let's throw a massive wild card into this whole equation: artificial intelligence. AI is set to be a massive amplifier, and depending on which identity system we build, it's either going to create an unprecedented surveillance state or an era of incredible human empowerment.
The source material uses this chillingly effective term for what happens when you combine a centralized digital ID with AI, the panopticon perfected. The panopticon, if you don't know, was an old prison design where a single guard could see every single inmate all at once, creating this feeling of constant surveillance. Well, with AI, you don't even need the guard. It's a system that can watch, analyze, and flag everything all the time.
And when you lay it all out, the two futures couldn't look more different. You combine AI with the centralized system, and what do you get? A machine that logs every single interaction, that analyzes your behavior to predict dissent, and that lets the authorities take preemptive action against you. But combine that same AI with a decentralized system, and it can make services better for you, while your privacy stays intact, because mass surveillance is, by its very design, architecturally impossible. The underlying structure is everything.
So this brings us right back to where we started, to the fundamental choice. And this isn't some what-if scenario for the distant future. The infrastructure is being laid down as we speak. The laws are being written. The decision about what kind of digital world we're all going to live in is being made right now, today. So let's just boil it down one last time. The centralized path concentrates power. The source argues it risks turning our fundamental human rights into simple permissions that can be granted or taken away. The decentralized path, on the other hand, distributes power and bakes privacy right into the design of the system itself.
And really, the ultimate takeaway from all this analysis is that this isn't a debate about databases or cryptography. It's a debate about our values. Are we building technology that serves human dignity and freedom? Or are we accidentally building the most efficient system of social control in human history? Which leaves us with one final crucial question. In the very near future, when technology is constantly asking us, "Who are you?" will we be in control of our own answer, or will the answer be controlled for us? That's the choice we have to make.